whoever's wondering why I'm actually pointing out Toronto so much, I'm actually holding a live session in Toronto right now. So people in the chat should know why I'm actually focusing on Toronto. It's not just Toronto, it's all of North America, all of England, all of Australia, Western Europe, France. You guys move an inch, the whole world moves a foot, or maybe even a mile, some places. In Pakistan, 10 miles. That's the kind of, fascination these people have generated around the curves that you guys are just walking every single day. Every boy and every girl in Pakistan and India and Iran and Arabia, they're naturally going to do whatever you guys are doing right now. Their fascinations are based on what you're fascinating. Their goals, hell, even milestones of their next year, next 5 years, they're literally carved out by your laughters and your cries. Whatever you guys are going to wear, the way you're going to wear it, people in Pakistan are going to do the same. Given a chance, most of Pakistan is going to end up in Canada or America. You guys are my best players. I'm telling you this right now. I'm in Pakistan, I'm in Islamabad right now. Totally different game. Totally different game, I'm telling you. I'm going all over the country. I'm going to tiny little cities, villages. I'm talking to everybody, students mostly. I'm talking to old folks too, women, men, rich and poor, everybody. I'm talking to everybody here in Pakistan. And all I see is just one commonality. Everyone's just fixated on what America's doing or what England is doing. Fixated. They just know this. I don't know how they got this PhD in what America's going to do next 5 years. Everybody knows Joe Biden and Barack Obama. Are you kidding me? Everyone knows Tom Cruise, Rihanna, Beyonce. Everybody knows about this. Where are they getting this whole intel? And how much time are they spending on this? It's very natural. No fault of nobody, except people in the same league who are not playing the same game. You guys are just not told at the right age. We will just be doing in Pakistan. I'll be just picking out the rakes. I'll be just raking up your own damages. We'll be firefighting. Damage caused by you guys. We'll be trying to fix it. Recovery. That's it. Firefighting. That's it. Recovery. And there's not enough soldiers that we actually have right now. We just don't have enough arsenal. We don't have enough manpower anymore to convince the next 2, 3, 400 generations that, you know what, don't go far enough from God. You guys are there for a reason. There's a purpose of you Umars and you Alis and you Khalid, you Zulekhas, you Asmas, you Aishas, you Fatimas. You need to realize this. I just want you to start calling the shots on the bigger problems through the lens of Islam and use the Quran as your prime argument, your only argument. Understand the bigger problem. You are the solution to that problem. I'm going to describe to you the problem now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yeah, assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. I would rather actually go in total engagement with all of you guys rather than just give you a session, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions after I'm done with a 5-minute session or 10-minute session. Is going to take a little more than just an hour, which I don't have right now, because you have Asr to pray and there's another speaker. So what I want to do is I'm actually on a rampage to try and talk to every Muslim, every young boy and girl who specifically lives around the areas where you guys are. I've lived in Toronto. I'm assuming you guys are in Toronto. That's where half of my life is spent. In Vancouver, in Calgary, and Portland, Los Angeles, where you guys are actually going to have a lot more hope from the rest of the Muslims. You need to understand this. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, people in the hall, Fazil Saab, can you make sure that everybody can hear me? Okay, perfect. Loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, loud. Yes, loud and clear.
So there's a big predicament going on, and I'll make it as clear as possible in the shortest possible span of time. There are two kinds of Muslims in the world. One who are actually generating a worldview, and the other categories of the mass of Muslims who are borrowing that worldview. So the other category 2, do not have their own thought. They don't produce original thought. They actually borrow it. Who do they borrow it from? They borrow it from naturally the demographic or the geography that is politically superior. That's how the human brain and body works. And with no effort of you guys, me, or whoever has or will or is living in North America or England or Western Europe, is just found there because their daddies migrated there or their grandfathers migrated there. or they themselves migrated there for whatever job or studies that you guys went there and decided to stay there. Now that actually puts you in the 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 spotlight, the limelight. You whatever you guys are gonna do. People in Tunisia, people in Sudan, people in Indonesia, in Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, Iran, Qatar, and Yemen. You have no idea the kind of responsibility you guys have. And my job is to give you that idea. I'm telling you this right now. You are that 1%. You are actually way more than that 1%, but most of the people who are Muslims, especially in their 20s, who are going to be in their 20s or their early 30s, they don't realize the bigger game that is being played by our own bodies. This is not a Jewish conspiracy, nor is this the Kabbalah or the Illuminatis. This is how the human body works. You guys, whatever you guys are going to do, are going to affect rest of the Muslims. And I'm not talking about those old folks who did whatever they could in their good intent, whatever that energy that they actually could exert, they did. And whatever they gave us, of course, we are always going to be indebted because they gave us the iman and the religion, the system of how to think about Allah Azza wa Jal and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And we will always be indebted to our elders. There is no other thing that can ever compensate or even come close to balancing the other part of this disbalance that, you know, the weight of Islam that they put, the concept of religion and the duties that they actually told us when we were 6, we were 5, 7, 8 year old. But it's your time now. And I'm telling you this right now. Every boy and every girl in Pakistan and India and Iran and Arabia, they're naturally going to do whatever you guys are doing right now. Their fascinations are based on what you're fascinating. Their goals, hell, even milestones of their next year, next 5 years, they're literally carved out by your laughters and your cries. Literally. When you guys are hanging out, 4 or 5 guys in a Tim Horton or that Humvees, whatever conversation you're having right now, that is detrimental, literally. If you're not going to have that conversation about religion, your duty, what the Quran actually demands, how to look at the concept of Quran, the philosophy of Quran, if you're not discussing that, then you're actually wasting time of 1.7 billion people. Literally. That's how responsible you should. I mean, that is literally how critical the responsibility is for the North American and English Muslims. I'll give you a little retrospect. Even if you guys were not Muslims, you guys still will be calling the shots. That's how easy it is to think about this. Whatever you guys are going to wear, the way you're going to wear it, people in Pakistan are going to do the same. Characters in the movies, literally, in plays and in cartoons, characters, names, come from where? That's how the human body works. That's how the system is designed. You better realize how important you are. Right now, right here, in this age, 10 years from now, it'll be too late. I'm telling you this right now. 10 years of you not talking about Islam during your little banters and, you know, little gatherings, friends' basements. The more time you're going to spend in the masjid, you there in Toronto, the more time Muslims in Pakistan are going to spend in the masjid. Because it'll be cool. It will become cool. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm telling you, this is the truth. This is the God honest truth. This is how easy it is. Not just to make and structure the thought process of about 2 billion people, but it's also as easy it is to break it, devastate it. You need to understand where you are. You're not there by your own choice. I know that. It's all right. But you're there now. There are no coincidences in Islam. You guys are there for a reason. There's a purpose of you, you Umars and you Alis and you Khalids and who, whatever your name is right now. You Zulekhas, you Asmas, you Aishas, you Fatimas. You need to realize this. And I'm not even talking about the real problem right now. I'm just talking about the system of how human beings behave. Somebody wears a certain kind of suit in a movie in Hollywood. It becomes the deal in Pakistan and India. It's like you got to wear it. Somebody writes a book, talks about some certain concept in Saturn or Mars. All of a sudden, everybody in Pakistan, Islamabad and Karachi and Dhaka and Delhi, everyone's talking about this. Their own theories, concept comes from you guys. Thought comes from you guys. That place. The problem right now is that most Muslims are not talking about Islam. The problem right now is most Muslims don't even know how to talk about Islam. You know why? Because you guys are not talking about Islam. You guys are talking about Tom Cruise and Arsenal and Man United. I'm not saying forget football. What I'm saying is spend more time of the hour of the day in describing your problems, your solutions, your worldview as a part of Islam. Literally a part of Islam. Step 2 would be to, carve it properly, polish it, understand it better. Because I'm telling you this right now. I spent most of my life in America and Canada. I'm telling you this right now. Whenever I used to speak to a scholar, he was trying to tell me how to settle really well inside Toronto or Chicago. What is the law of the land and how to actually establish yourself here properly? Good citizenship. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, of course. I don't need to be a bad citizen. But is that my bigger problem? Not even a single cleric in Chicago, in New York, in Toronto. They never told me that, you know what, people in Tunisia, literally Tunisia, Morocco, they're going to be doing exactly what you think or talking about right now. You're defining that hashtag cool. You're defining the right and you're defining the wrong. There's this weird theory about this guy called Carl's Ingerman. Carl's Ingerman. He's a pastor. He was a pastor. He died 6-7 years ago. He was 92. And this guy says, you know what? If Victoria did not do whatever she did, there would be less than 100,000 Christians alive in this planet right now. You know what he actually described it in detail in a very big fat book. But he talks about how we all speak English, how Toronto speaks English, how Sydney speaks English, how Pakistan speaks English, how South Africa speaks English. And it's not just English. It's not the language. It's the way we look at the world through the eyes of somebody else. So he said, if a Qing dynasty in China, you know what I'm saying, is not known by anybody other than the Chinese, that just goes to show that 1 billion people can be quarantined into a tiny little place, and 1 billion people could not make anybody else get aware about the Qing or Ming dynasty because they were just Chinese. They didn't talk about the world. They didn't think about those global parameters. Nobody in Pakistan knows, or Toronto knows about Qing dynasty. That's a philosophy. They have a philosophy. They have awesome philosophers. So they didn't do what Victoria did. Okay. So Victoria did whatever she did. Now what? Well, now she set the platform for all of us. All of us. It's not a fluke that you guys are found in those places which are deemed higher politically and socially, and when something actually takes up that political pedestal, it's human nature to think there is also the moral pedestal. That's the problem. And that's a very, very big problem. So the political might will seem right to me. Yeah, it'll seem right to you. And it'll just seem right to you, but it'll be deemed right by your kids. Understand what's going on here. Understand your responsibility. Okay. Now, as much time as you spend on watching Canucks versus the Leafs, I like it too. I get it. But there's a bigger battle going on here. You know what I'm saying? It's a far more superior battle. Your own self-esteem as Muslims require you to talk and think and spend more time pondering upon the bigger problems of the world. Use each other. You guys are all in the same place. You guys enjoy the same flavor of the culture that is dictating the thought process in Spain, literally, in Sudan, in Zaire, in New Zealand, literally. You guys are calling the shots. You don't even know about this. I just want you to start calling the shots on the bigger problems through the lens of Islam and use the Quran as your prime argument, your only argument for that matter. The problem I see is that, you guys were given the throne, okay? You guys were given the power, yeah. You guys were given the class, of course. You guys were just not given the Quran. If you just knew what the game is, you would have used your best player, right? I don't know who's playing for the Leafs these days. It's been a while. But you know what I'm talking about. You play your prime team when this is the Stanley Cup at stake, right? You play your best players. You guys are my best players. I'm telling you this right now. I'm in Pakistan. I'm in Islamabad right now. Totally different game. Totally different game, I'm telling you. I'm going all over the country. I'm going to tiny little cities, villages. I'm talking to everybody, students mostly. I'm talking to old folks too, women, men, rich and poor, smart and dumb, everybody. I'm talking to everybody here in Pakistan. And all I see is just one commonality. Everyone's just fixated on what America's doing or what England is doing. Fix it. They just know this. I don't know how they got this PhD in what America's going to do next 5 years. They don't know anything about anything else except what America. Everybody knows Joe Biden and Barack Obama. Are you kidding me? Most of those people don't even know the whole political system of their own country. Everyone knows Tom Cruise, Rihanna, Beyonce. Everybody knows about this. Where are they getting this whole intel? And how much time are they spending on this? It's very natural. It's no fault of nobody, except people in the same league who are not playing the same game. You guys are just not told at the right age. If I were 20 right now, most of you guys are close to 20, and somebody came in and sat on that pulpit in that masjid, I'm assuming it's the masjid you guys sitting in, and somebody told me that, you know what, listen to me, your next 24 hours, literally, your next 24 hours, if you spend them effectively with a few people on Albion and Islington, literally Albion and Islington, just to, walk in with a few folks of your own, 24 hours are going to dictate the next 12 or 10 or 20 years of thousands of people in your country, or maybe even around the world. So you decide, what are they going to talk about? What are they going to think about? What are they going to laugh at? What are they going to cry about? You literally decide that. So I suggest right now, you start talking about the bigger problems right now, so that you can use that momentum, which you guys have naturally through your, universities. I'm assuming you guys are students. You guys are going to Seneca or York. You guys are going to Ryerson or UFT. I don't know what you guys are studying right now, but use those campuses. That's the prime of the place that you guys are in already. You guys are already playing that game. That's the top of the game. In that place, in that demographic, climb up that food chain, wherever you are. Because you're inside the tank, you might as well just be behind the cannon, right? Doesn't really matter if you're on the tank and you're not just taking control of the cannon. I know you guys are, in the tank. I just want you to be behind that cannon. Climb up that ladder with the conscientiousness of a Muslim, conscientiousness of Ali bin Abi Talib, conscientiousness of Umar bin Khattab. Climb up that ladder so that you can be the loudest voice for not just Muslims, but all human beings. You should be the most eloquent argument ever placed. It's your basic, it's your job. That's the job. That is the job. You pick out any physicist right now in Toronto, in England, in New York, any guy who's sitting in his lab, you know what he's pondering upon? The universe. Back of his mind, even if he's an atheist, he's thinking about, okay, you know what? I know that there is some concept and I'm trying to prove it wrong. I mean, even if he wants to deny it, he's trying his best to just hypothesize this first. Yes, there is God. I'm going to try and disprove it through going through the universe, whatever he's trying to invent or discover. Except Muslims, everyone's thinking about God. Everyone that matters. For or against, doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't. You just need to be in the league, in the same game, same league. Understand the scope of what I'm trying to tell you, what I'm talking about. Understand the bigger problem. You are the solution to that problem. I'm going to describe to you the problem now. Till now, I was just describing how much of a solution you guys are. And if you're not solving that problem, then you are the biggest problem that Muslims can suffer from. We will just be doing in Pakistan. I'll be just picking out the rakes. I'll be just raking up your own damages. We'll be firefighting damage caused by you guys. We'll be trying to fix it, recovery. That's it. Firefighting. That's it. Recovery. That's why I'm talking to all overseas Muslims right now. Arabs, non-Arabs, Indians, non-Indians, Africans, Indonesian, everybody who speaks English. Just let's talk about the bigger problem. The bigger problem is that the current competition between the bigger philosophy is godly and ungodly. That is the biggest problem right now. The philosophy of the human beings is hard lined, like defined on stone to go for or against God. And there's not enough soldiers that we actually have right now. Muslims and non-Muslim, Christians. We just don't have enough arsenal. We don't have enough manpower anymore to convince the next 200, 300, 400 generations that, you know what, don't go far enough from God. Allah Azza wa Jal. Atheism has become such a big problem right now. That's one of the first points that you got to start with. But why would anyone listen to you guys? Like literally, think about it. Why would anyone try and listen to your argument? We would rather have Jordan Peterson try and represent, the creationists' argument. Or whoever's going to be the next guy. Or the guy next to that guy. Because Muslims are not coming in the limelight. They're just trying to play the money game too much. Too much. And I can understand when first generation immigrants are playing that game. I can understand that. I mean, I still blame them, but I can understand it. They were trying to make ends meet. They're just changing their whole country, world, their families, everything. They just sacrificed everything to just so that you guys can have a better education in Toronto. But you guys shouldn't be worried about, how much money Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos have. I mean, this is not even that's not supposed to be discussed by you guys. You guys are Gen Z if you're 20 or less. You guys should have a totally different worry. The bigger problem that I see in Pakistan, through Pakistan, because when I'm in Toronto, I was riled up listening to all of those khutbah from the Juma pulpits. That why are you not talking about the real issues that Muslims are going through? Why is it a problem for a Toronto imam to talk about global issues of Muslims? Why is the political side of Islam, hush hush? Well, I understood, this guy was a first generation immigrant. I get it. But with this Ukraine thing in Russia, you guys have just gotten a far wider aperture now. A lot more light came into your minds. You guys can talk about a lot of political issues that define your Muslim identity. Ukraine, you know what the best thing about Ukraine and Russia fight is? That now Muslims can openly talk about Palestine. Talk about the bigger issues now, but not emotionally. It's the job of the third world country to be emotional. Let them be emotional. It's okay. We need that too. You guys are required to be the most rational arguments there can ever be. And if you're not putting in that time inside the books, literally fighting two fights at the same time, non-Muslims arguments of how bland Islam is or how ineffective it is. Yeah, okay. Left flank, take care of them. Right flank, take care of the current corrupted worldview of the current Muslim. Literally. I'm speaking to about 100,000 students a year, literally, more than that, actually. Everyone's got a corrupted, polluted worldview. They don't even know how to define Islam properly. They got this superstitious, weird way of understanding what Allah and the Prophet ﷺ did or wanted us to do. Cherry picking verses from the Quran just to hold their own point of view in front of a lot of people who don't even know what cherry picking is. So they think it's from the Quran. You and I both know from Anchorage to Miami, most of the Muslims can't even recite all of the Quran in English because, the kind of problems these guys are afraid of. I get it. But you guys are not. You guys are way more eloquent. And you take your courage from, what the Black movement, Me Too movement, or whatever is going on. It's going to go on where smaller groups of people are going to raise a louder voice with a very good argument, a lot of rationale. It gives courage to all of those minorities, that yes, no, nothing actually happens. That fear was, the figment of their own, weird emotions that these old folks had. Of course, I get it. They had a lot of problems. You guys don't have those problems. You guys belong there. You guys should start taking ownership now. Toronto should be, and I mean it, Toronto. I'm a little biased towards Toronto. You can feel Toronto should be the center of the loudest and the most eloquent argument of Islam. Last time I was 2013, 16? 1 million Muslims in Canada or Toronto. I keep forgetting. You need to understand how I look at you boys and girls. And only for a second, if you get a glimpse of the girls and boys in Pakistan and India, then you'll find the delta. You'll find out why I'm relying on you guys only. Literally, you're my last hope. If you guys don't take up the pulpits, you guys don't take up the pulpits, then might as well just, wrap our heads with white hoodies and just, start forming our own little cults of whatever we believe in. In the name of Islam, literally. You come to Pakistan, I'll show you 1 million cults in the name of Islam through the Quran, You guys are way, way ahead of the game in so many ways. Understand your responsibility. Take take both the flanks. Coming in from the atheistic point of view, try and come up with the best, finest possible ways to rebut, not just to rebut, but to actually create that thought so that this virus is, you know, eradicated from the root. Human beings need you guys to do that, not just Muslims. Take up the bigger responsibility. And then the right flank should start talking to the clerics. Why are you guys hiding a lot of things which are supposed to be told? We're not afraid. Let's talk about the truth. Why are you sugarcoating so many things? Why are you not opening up the whole mind of a Muslim by explaining the Quran the way the Sahabas explained the Quran to the world? I'll give you a little perspective before I go, because I'm just going to end this now. Medina was the Toronto of the world when Prophet ﷺ established it. It became the Toronto of the world. People started coming to Medina from Spain, literally, from Rome, Greece, all of Africa. Immigration was, on the rise because of the attraction of the Muslim, the attraction of the arguments of the Muslim, the way they were carrying their traits, their attributes, the way they lived their lives. Literally, their knowledge and their attributes were shining through word of mouth across the world. That's why half of the world started speaking Arabic. They wanted to imitate these stars, literally the real stars. And right now, nobody wants to be Muslim. Hell, even Muslims don't even want to be Muslims anymore. And the non-Muslims, you know what? The only argument is, if you all, 1.9 billion people of you all, believe in just one book, then, it's a common sense argument that is what the book is teaching you. Whatever you guys are up to is what that book is teaching you. Because 1.9 billion people claiming to believe in one book are doing whatever you guys are doing. And you're thinking, oh, you know what? Don't look at us Muslims. Just look at what Islam's manifesto and charter and book is, the literature. You'll find out that we are bad people. Our book is perfect. No one's going to believe that. 1.9 billion bad examples of one book, one philosophy. That's against statistics, man. That's just against basic psychology. Most people are not trying to come to Islam because of the way we are behaving as Muslims. So understand that only a handful of Muslims are going to change the impression. Everybody, whoever did that for his own community, not everybody can change, or not everyone's going to be a moment. Since I'm talking to Toronto folks right now, that's why I'm just telling you this right now. We just need a handful of you to set the right example. A handful of you will become, a country full of us. So both the jobs are in your, you're supposed to do both the jobs simultaneously right now. I swear to you, both. You got to read both of those realms of knowledge, gain it as much as you can, because you have time right now. You guys are young. You guys are trained on how to talk. You guys are very good in communicating your points of view and so many other matters. Islam is actually looking at you. The Quran is looking at you to use that skill for the bigger purpose, the bigger fight. Fix the definitions of Islam inside Islam. Okay, fix your own house, get your own house in order. But you know what? At the same time, you got to stop that onslaught of that external virus coming in, which is trying its best to confuse all our Muslim kids. So whoever's wondering why I'm actually pointing out Toronto so much, I'm actually holding a live session in Toronto right now. So people in the chat should know why I'm actually focusing on Toronto. It's not just Toronto, it's all of North America, all of England, all of Australia, Western Europe, France. You guys, you guys move an inch, the whole world moves a foot, or maybe even a mile, some places. In Pakistan, 10 miles. That's the kind of, fascination these people have generated around the curves that you guys are just walking every single day. It shouldn't be like this, but it is. I'm sorry. Realize how important you are in my eyes, and everyone who thinks, everyone who knows how the world works. There's a reason why you guys ended up in Toronto or Miami or New York or San Francisco or Irvine or Portland or Seattle. There's a reason why you ended up there. You could have gone to Korea or Beijing or Moscow or Madagascar, Johannesburg. You didn't end up there. You guys ended up there because wherever you are was that source of created that source of fascination for your old folks. So and then they're not the exception. Given a chance, most of Pakistan is going to end up in Canada or America. Given a chance. Realize the power that you have in your hands, and I want you to channel that through your minds and your words, your works, not just your words, but your works. Cluster up, talk about the real issues. Make your own campuses if you cannot do that in other campuses. Masjid should be your civic center. You guys should be coming to masjid just to talk. Have a cup of tea and talk about real things. In Pakistan, you can't do that in the masjid. You know that? In Toronto, you can. Well, not all of the masjids, but you know what I'm talking about. So if you have any questions right now, I hope I have enough time for a few. Otherwise, it's
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, walaikum assalam.
Can we ask a question?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I'm saying. If you have them, just shoot right now.
Okay. It's first of all, it's really nice to hear you live for the first time. I'm from Toronto. I'm not that young, but I have kids, and especially nowadays in the school, all the people know in Toronto and Canada, we are fighting with that community LGBTQ and their effect in the school. If it is relevant to the topic, so how to cope with that thing with our kids, how to avoid them, because they are in the school most of the time in the day, like 4 to 5 hours, sometimes more than that. So in the school, they are teaching them. So how to avoid or how to teach our kids to avoid such things. Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
You guys are all sitting in that same hall?
I don't know, but I'm living in my Toronto apartment, so I'm from my apartment. I don't
okay,
know
okay. No, I'll tell you why I'm actually asking, because this session is actually arranged by Fazil Saab from Toronto for his little gathering that we all are actually addressing right now. But I'll tell you all, it's a good question. It's a very pertinent question because Toronto, in 2015, we decided to, the TDSP actually came up with this new ruling, and every teacher was on the road. I'm pretty sure you all remember in Toronto. And 2 days of the teachers' strike going on with the kind of curriculum they published. Of course, you guys know about this. 2 days later, I don't know why you guys were, we just never did our homework properly. We found out later on that, the Ontario education minister, that lady, was a lesbian herself. And we were protesting against that, that little piece of curriculum that we were against. So there's a certain thing that you can and certain things that you cannot do, a part and parcel of being in Toronto. And the fact that you guys and we all are not putting enough rational force and creating that. That's exactly what I mean. You guys are supposed to be and are, I'm assuming that you guys are uh, politically active. You guys are on the street about real issues. And it'll be a big shame on us if a non-Muslim is going to come and change that ruling through his own arguments, through real and very effective political activism. I'll die with shame if a non-Muslim is going to do that in Toronto or Ontario or wherever. Because it's being challenged by the church, left, right, and center, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So I need you guys to understand there are certain things that you can do right now. If you don't put in that effort, then I'm sorry, we cannot complain. We have lost the right to complain the day we settle for living under that cloud of evil or whatever bad that we believe is bad. If you're not doing something about it, then we're not supposed to complain about it. Need to understand it's a basic rule. It's across the board. Every religion, every era of human being knew about this common sense. If you're not fighting against evil, don't complain against evil. Okay? Or whatever you don't believe in. So let me just ask Fadil Saab to have those boys or girls or wherever we are actually hosting this I'm being hosted. If they have any question, then please. Otherwise, we'll just call it a day.
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
हमारी एक ही टीम है मेरी और फाजिल साहब की क्वेश्चन ये है could you please give some tips to our young Muslim to become exemplary Muslim, a good true representative?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what my preface of the whole session was about how easy it is. Well, it's not easy. Don't take me wrong. It's not easy, but it's easier than anywhere else in the world. You guys are in North America, and you guys are actually a lot more avenues paved out for you guys already for the last 2, 3, 4 generations. Not just Muslims, of course, not Muslims at all. 5 generations ago, there were no Muslims in Canada, right? So whatever happened there, now you got to use that momentum and try and be, okay, now you're playing this game already. You are in the game. You guys are trying to hit the Ivy Leagues right now. You guys are trying to gain that kind of education, which is going to represent a higher zone of IQ. And, you guys are trying to be known as smart people, which is good. Don't change that. But understand that this is that kind of responsibility that if you don't use it wisely now, then you are going to use it against that very purpose that people like me are trying to actually fight for every single day. Trust you me, either you are my best friend or my worst enemy, because you are Muslims at the right place. You guys are representing that sort of equity, that mental equity. And you guys are not utilizing. I mean, you guys have the nuclear force in your minds, but you're not producing enough nuclear. You guys have the reactors, but not producing that nuclear energy. And I can't fight this war with just mere bullets, because there's too much arsenal on the other side. So you need to be smart. I know you guys have to have those key character attributes. Don't leave no doubts about this. If you don't have that, no one's going to come around you. No one. Even if you're the smartest person, no one. That's basic, okay? You guys have to have that sunnah and sirah absorbed inside your bodies so that people will want to talk to you and would want to rely on you. But that's not going to cut it. I mean, if you don't have it, then it doesn't really matter. You're not even in the game anymore. But if you have it, then you're supposed to be in the stadium. You're supposed to be in the rink. You got to play now. And what are you going to play? That's that asset that I want you to focus on. And that's your higher IQs, your better exposures, your sharper worldviews. And that is where people like me and places like mine in Pakistan and wherever we are actually looking up to that Ivy League and that Muslim, that person, forget Muslim, but that person Right now, the Muslims right now are in such a plight that even if not a non-Muslim is given a very good argument about God, for God, like John Lennox, I mean, I love that guy, or whoever from the right wing, or that conservative, or that biblical scholar, uh, we are using that as our prime arsenal. It's a shame on us, you know. It should have come from boys like you 20 years ago. But boys, if you're age, now, you know, those boys are old people. They missed the opportunity. I get that. They were busy making enough money so that you guys can actually not worry about money like the way they had to. So now they did the grunt work. You guys need to understand your character attributes are going to establish you in the group, but your intellect is going to establish you around the world. The smartest man in Pakistan, smartest man in the world, found in Islamabad or Karachi, is not going to have that kind of effect. And an above average guy with 110, 20 IQ is going to spend enough time in certain kind of books which are required, is going to change the world. That's how easy it is. So understand how important you are. And that's what I'm going to keep repeating, reiterating, that you are not just any Muslims. You guys have that momentum backing you up. And a lot of industries combined together, regardless of religion, regardless of race, they gave you that momentum. More than 150 years of North America got that momentum in. Now, I need you guys to use it. Classic atheists are using it. You think if Richard Dawkins was called, you know, Abdul Khalik, or let's just say Tariq Masih from Miyawali, you think he would have been carrying the same argument? You think you would have known about this? No, nobody would have cared if Tariq Masih from Miyawali is, you know, writing a book about atheism. You need to see that momentum of that geography and that demographic is of such an amazing value, and equity is beyond comprehension right now for regular folks in India and Bangladesh and Pakistan and, you know, wherever. So know your place, know your value, so that you would understand that an inch from you is going to mean a mile to us, the rest of the world. But you got to have that inch in the right place, you know, in the right direction. Otherwise, that inch is going to take me back a mile as well. And my kids, literally. So hopefully I'll be in Toronto in February, March, inshallah. I'm coming there for a lot of other reasons because of this Palestine project I'm doing, inshallah. But why do you think I'll give you an example. I was running this Palestine project, couldn't do it in Pakistan. Pakistan, Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Trying to connect Pakistanis with Palestinians. Project is the same. Can't do it in Pakistan. Literally can't. Hell, even the Palestinians are not going to believe in this project. They'll be like, Pakistan there, forget about it. So you know what I had to do? I had to call in all of my Toronto folks, my friends. They had to establish this little, you know, hub of people and, you know, those legal maneuverability to get money to Palestine. Not just money, but, you know, help the Palestinians so that we can connect Pakistan, every Pakistani, one Pakistani with one Palestinian. Muakhat. Couldn't do it in Pakistan. I'm going to be deemed illegal. They'll put me in jail in Pakistan if I do that project. Palestine. See what I'm talking about? Now, I understand a lot of problems. You know what? There's a lot more politics in Pakistan than there is in the world combined. But it's not just the political, you know, famine. It is that richness of that effort that a lot of people combine to put in to give you that platform. And those were mostly non-Muslims. Okay. God has his own ways of working things out. So you guys have got to put yourself in that train, the smart train, where people listen to and call you smart and, you know, believe whatever you say, deem whatever you say is logical, even if it isn't. Most of the time it is. Most of the time it has been logical. That's why. So use that momentum and try and put the Quran right in the front part of the engine. Talk about it. discuss it, argue for it, listen to arguments against it, weigh those arguments, try and find the best possible answers, gain your IQ right now. And that's just the Quran I'm talking about. And you're going to find most of the Muslims don't even qualify with that arguments. That's the problem I'm facing in Pakistan. I'm like, well, what kind of Quran are you reading, man? So understand, if you change, everything else changes. If you don't change, nothing's going to change here. I hope that's clear enough. I hope I've drilled deep enough. And I hope I've shaken hard enough, all of you boys. And girls, of course. There's so many people in the
Assalamu alaikum, Salbhai. What are the problems? What are the barriers that are the sentence you have just finished? What are the barriers that we need to remove first so that we can progress? Basically, I'm asking is what are the barriers?
I'll tell you.
For us to help.
I'll tell you. You know, the curve of fascination is drawn so deep and so wide and so colorful in America and Canada. Muslims in Pakistan don't even know about that fascination. You guys are playing the real game of cool, real game of fun, real game of entertainment, real game of aesthetics. Literally, these are the 4 or 5 pillars. You know, aesthetics in Canada, America, you find it out as soon as you land in Pearson. You know, it's like the whole color scheme changes. The way the movies are made, the way the programs are made, the way TV is running, the way YouTube videos run, the way the content is made in America. I mean, think about it. All the boys know about this. Old folks don't know about this. Boys, you know what I'm talking about. If a Muslim is going to make a documentary, Muslim is going to make a cartoon, it's going to be so bland. So, it's going to be so boring. It's not even going to be worth looking at. We all know what I'm talking about. We don't have Michael Manns in our bullpens. When a Muslim is going to make a movie, it's going to be like, what was he thinking about? Did he have a cheap camera? Did he have what was there? Why is there bad lighting? And why is he making those kind of angles and the kind of narrative that the speakers are speaking about through? It's also so boring. People sleep in ISNA conferences in Toronto. We all know that. Everyone's waiting for lunchtime or that Ahmad, who's going to come in and, do that stand-up comedy. And that's not why we have ISNA conferences. Understand the problem. You guys have those as gifts to you. You guys have the sense of entertainment, the sense of fascination, the quality of fascination. That's what's being driven down, trickling down to the rest of the world, the fascination. You define the definition of what human fascination should be. You're carrying it in your own PS5s and Nintendo Switches or whatever. You guys are carrying this. Make sure you understand the reality of what's going on. That's why I said it's a two-prong approach. Right prong, change the way Muslims are defining Islam, the way they're utilizing the Quran. And left flank, try and quarantine through arguments.